16 years after the death of Marcus Aurelius, his dreams of Rome have been forgotten by the people, and the city is set to fall. The Roman Empire is now ruled by tyrannical twin emperors, known as Geta and Caracalla. A young man's real name is Lucius VerCelius, but he is living a peaceful life as Hanno along with his wife. Ari's hat. Just then, they see a fire burning nearby with a loud sound, which means imminent danger is approaching. Hanno and his wife, Ari's hat, helps each other to suit up and join their fellow warriors in collecting grace. Their battle is with General Acacius and his Roman army. After the couple said their wishes to each other, they headed out to fight the war. General Acacius and his men approached the wall with their massive ships. Hanno lifts his warrior spirits with a motivational speech and tells them not to fear. The fireballs are tossed to the enemies. The war enrages with the destruction of the walls. Acacius commands the archers, and hundreds of arrows are shot, killing most of Lucius's men. Lucius instructs his army to keep fighting, but the battle is in Acacius' favor. They drop the drawbridge, and the battle commences. Acacius is unstoppable, killing every soldier. But Lucius is fighting back and standing and protecting his home. General Acacius sees Arishat and quickly commanded his archers to kill her. Unfortunately, Arishat was seriously wounded with an arrow through her chest, which makes her fall into the ocean. Lucius is distracted in shock, and he is hit by a man and falls into the ocean himself. In a supernatural realm, Lucius finds himself in a grim world. He sees Arishat follow the rapier into the afterlife. He goes to save her, but is pulled back to life. He goes towards Arishat's dead body and gives his final goodbye. Unfortunately, Lucius is enslaved alongside the surviving soldiers and citizens, and General Acacius claims their city for Rome. The captives were brought to a Roman city and were marked as slaves. Lucius goes to meet his chief, Jabara. The chief is unable to endure and is ready to be taken away to his ancestors. They arrive at Rome, and celebrations were held for their recent victory. General Acacius approached Geta and Caracalla to show them honor. He is then rewarded by the emperors. They tell him that they want to conquer Persia and then India. But Acacius thinks they should focus on the citizens of Rome. Since Rome has so many subjects, Geta refuses him time to spend with his wife, as it's the only thing that Acacius wants. Lucius and the other captives are brought out to fight for survival in the arena. This arena is overseen by a man named Marcus. The feral baboons are released for them to fight, but Chief Jabara surrenders and chooses death in the arena, so he can be free. Lucius is unwilling to surrender, and he fights with the beast. He bites its arm and strangles it to death with his chains. Macrinus is impressed by this and says he will buy Lucius. The next day, Lucius and the others are transported to a nearby place where Macrinus lives. A soldier tells them about the arena lifestyle. The arena can turn them into free men. While they are eating, Lucius is cheered for his tactic. The captives are taken outside, and Lucius meets Macrinus in person. To show his superiority, Macrinus orders Lucius to fight with a soldier, a man named Vigo. Lucius is tired to fight, but he is able to find strength and take down Vigo. Macrinus commends Lucius's fighting skills and asks them to bring Lucius to him. Macrinus and Lucius have a conversation about fighting in the arena. He talks about the rage that Lucius has, and Lucius tells him that he wants to kill Acacius. Macrinus says he will get this if he fights hard for him. Later, Acacius talks to his wife Lucilla. He is tired of the twin emperor's tyranny and wastage of good soldiers, all because they want to rule more land. He says his soldiers will arrive soon, and the scene shifts. Macrinus brings Lucius to Senator Thrax's party in the city. After, Senator Thrax and Macrinus greet each other. Senator Thrax organizes a fight between Lucius and another barbarian for entertainment. Lucius wants to convince the other man not to fight for entertainment, but he ignores Lucius and lunges at him. After a serious battle, Lucius luckily stabs the man and ends him. Geta approaches Lucius and asks him where he was from. Lucius isn't willing to talk, but he tells them a poet. The gates of hell are open night and day, smooth the descent and easy the way, but to return and view the cheerful skies. This the task and mighty labor lies, which means it is easy to experience hell, but hard to return to happiness. Macrinus meets with Lucius and questions him on the poetry. He gives Lucius money, but Lucius says a gladiator can't buy his freedom. He finds more on Lucius, but leaves in distaste. Meanwhile, Acacius and his wife attended a meeting where they planned an insurrection alongside their allies like Graus and Thrax. And they want to bring back Marcus Aurelius' dream. Lucius is being transported to the battle arena where the gladiator games were held. Thrax goes to meet Macrinus because he is in debt. The games are beginning. The games are to show Rome victory over the captured barbarians. Lucius and the other gladiators are brought into the Colosseum. Their opponent is an undefeated champion known as Giso the Destroyer. The battle begins, and Giso ruthlessly uses his rhino to kill one of the men. Giso goes after Lucius and ignores the rest of the fighters. Lucius packs a handful of dirt from the ground, and Lucilla notices this. Lucius uses quick thinking to stop the rhino, and he fights with Giso. They are evenly matched, but Giso hits Lucius repeatedly and knocks him down. Lucius refuses the Roman mercy and acts swiftly, ultimately ending Giso. Lucius continued to be praised by the crowd. He goes inside and tells them the arena is death and not freedom. Lucilla then goes to her private quarters and remembers the quote from Virgil. She realizes Lucius is her long-lost son and remembers her husband. Lucius is the rightful heir to the throne, and he left the empire so he can be alive. Lucius received treatment from a doctor named Ravi. Ravi was a former gladiator, but has now chose to save lives. Ravi and Lucius seem to bond a bit, and Macrinus comes to see Lucius. Macrinus also goes to see Lucilla, and she asks him about his gladiators. Macrinus begins piecing together Lucius's origins and realizes the truth with Lucilla. In the evening, Lucilla met with Lucius and tells him that he was the son of Maximus. She tells him he was loved by them, but Lucius doesn't care to hear it and shouts at Lucilla to leave his cell. Lucilla later meets with Acacius to tell him that Lucius was alive. She doesn't want to let her son down again, or risk losing him. She asks Acacius for his help. Acacius knows his army hasn't arrived yet, but he will try his best. The next day, Lucius is forced to train hard for hours, and he becomes exhausted. Ravi comes to treat him, and they discussed about their life. They talk about a better Rome, and Ravi tells him to rest up. Lucius joined the other gladiators in a naval battle. A battle fought to remember King Poisdon. The battle is to eliminate all opponents while avoiding the water, so anyone who falls in would die. Lucius commands his men to ram the ship, and the battle ensues. They win the fight, but Lucius tries to kill Acacius but misses. He hits the space between Geta and Caracalla, who thinks it a personal attack. The soldiers bravely take blame, and hence no one is punished. Macrinus went to Senator Thrax to collect his payment. He tells Thrax to give him his house or tell him a truth. Thrax unfortunately exposes Acacius's plans to overthrow the emperors. Macrinus tells him he knows why, and tells him to leave anyway. Acacius carries out his plan and goes with his men to the emperors. They are shot, and Acacius was later ambushed by the guards. Lucilla was brought before Geta and Caracalla to expose their treachery. Geta declared that their names would be forgotten in history before they were imprisoned. Caracalla tries to end Acacius because Acacius said time will pass and emperors will be forgotten. Macrinus convinces Geta to kill Acacius in the Colosseum. Meanwhile, Lucius talks with Ravi about his dream. He cites a name and asks Ravi about it. The name belongs to Maximus, and he was a great warrior. Ravi takes Lucius with him and shows him Maximus's armor and sword, along with the inscription, "What we do in this life echoes in eternity." The next day at the Colosseum, Acacius is to be punished and have his position taken away. He was forced to fight against 4 soldiers from the Praetorian Guard. He knows his fate is sealed, so he fights his best and defeats all the soldiers. He puts up a great fight and is victorious. It doesn't end there, and he is forced to fight against Lucius. Acacius can't kill Lucilla's son, and he tries to talk to him. The rage blinds Lucius, and Lucilla watches in deep fear. Acacius is a better warrior, and he now has to fight Lucius. He overpowers Lucius and tells him he knows who he is. Acacius drops his weapon and surrenders. Lucius is then ordered to end Acacius' life. Acacius tells him that he loves his mother, Lucilla, and would have died for his father, Maximus. Lucius refuses to kill Acacius after hearing this. The emperors are furious and orders the guards to execute Acacius by firing arrows at him. They kill him, and Lucilla watches in pain. Lucius condemns their actions. He says that if this is how Rome treats its heroes, then its people will be treated even worse. Lucius leaves as the crowd chants his name. The emperors leave, and everything is going according to Macrinus' plan. Later that day, Macrinus visits Lucius in his cell and asks why he decided to spare Acacius. Lucius says he is a fighter and not a slave, so he has his will. Macrinus says some things, and Lucius realizes Macrinus isn't a Roman. He questions Macrinus, but leaves. Lucius promises himself to see the end of Macrinus. In the night, the people begin to riot in the streets. The emperors are panicking over their decisions, and Geta disrespects Caracalla over their ways on handling the matter. Macrinus goes to speak with Caracalla. He tries to convince him that Geta is planning to blame him for the chaos. He twists Caracalla's mind and leaves. Manipulated, Caracalla goes to meet Geta. He uses the knife on him, and Geta tries to talk to him. Macrinus interrupts Caracalla and uses his hand to do the dirty work and kills Geta. At the prison, Lucilla meets with her son, Lucius. She gives him the ring that belonged to his grandfather. They reconcile, and he apologizes for Acacius. Lucius says he doesn't want to lose his mother again, and he hugs her goodbye. Caracalla takes over the throne and makes his pet monkey, Dandas, to be his consul. He also makes Macrinus a consul. But Macrinus' plan isn't over yet. Macrinus presents Geta's severed head to the senators and tells them he can end the chaos. They then vote him as the leader of the Praetorian Guard. Macrinus then approaches Lucilla, and he tells her about his plan to bring Rome to its knees. He tells her about how her father enslaved him, and he will kill Lucilla tomorrow. Meanwhile, Lucius calls his close friend Ravi. He gives him a ring and asks him to deliver it to a general in Ostia. He says Ravi should tell him the instructions is from the rightful prince of Rome. Ravi rides out and is successful with his mission. Macrinus and Caracalla order Lucilla and other prisoners to be brought into the Colosseum. It is only Lucius that can defend her. Macrinus's plan is cause an uproar if Lucilla is killed, and then he will kill Caracalla, slowly fulfilling his plan. In his cell, Lucius is told he can only fight for his mother with a wooden sword. He seizes the opportunity, and he breaks out. He kills Vigo with a wooden sword. Other captives break out, and there is a revolt. Lucius goes to get Maximus's armor and sword. He plans to lead the men to fight for their freedom. He gives them a speech and promises a Rome that they can build together. He gives them a quote that means as long as they are alive. They need not worry about death until they die. They chant in unison and march out. Lucilla is tied at the center of the arena, and Lucius must fight every guard by himself. But Lucius isn't alone, and the gladiators run out to support their fellow. The battle enrages, and the other soldiers goes to fight Acacius' army. Chaos ensues, and the crowd are hit by arrows and are fighting back. During the uproar, Macrinus uses a nail to kill Caracalla. He then takes a bow and shoots an arrow into Lucilla's chest before Lucius can save her. Lucius is angered by this, and he chases after Macrinus. Macrinus tells them to capture Lucius. But Lucius is here to free Rome from Macrinus, and so their battle begins. They engage in a fierce battle, with Macrinus dominating and overpowering Lucius. He stabs him repeatedly in the chest. However, Lucius's armor protects him. He remembers his mother's words. Lucius fights with strength, and he cuts off Macrinus's arm, and finally ends Macrinus. Afterwards, Lucius goes to Ravi and addresses both armies. He doesn't want wasteful bloodshed. Lucius wants to restore his grandfather's dream of a fair Rome. He declares and asks the soldiers to join him. The soldiers put down their swords and chant in unison. In the evening, Lucius goes to the arena. He mourns both his parents, and he speaks to his father. The movie then comes to an end,